Imagine going from being the best footballer in the world to a prison cell in a different country. These are the 10 footballers who lost everything. And first up, Brazil's Samba King lost his crown and bagged time behind bars. In the mid-2000s, Ronaldinho was the king of football. He had everything. I'm talking goals, assists, crazy skills, and even became the first person to smash the 1 million view mark on YouTube. In 2005, Ronaldinho's career peaked. He won the Ballon d'Or and was officially the best player in the world. But after that, things went downhill. Ronaldinho loved to drink and party. He just couldn't get enough of it, and despite his talent, pretty soon the Barca board had seen enough, so they refused to offer him a new contract, and he joined AC Milan on a free transfer. This was supposed to be his second shot at saving his career, but his addictions got even worse, and years after retiring in 2012, Ronaldinho soon realized that he'd blown away almost all his fortune on alcohol and parties. Even worse, he owed over $1.5 million in debt, and when the courts found out he couldn't pay, they seized his international passports and mortgaged his house. Ronaldinho wanted to escape, so he tried to smuggle his way into Paraguay using a fake passport, but he got busted. In the end, Ronaldinho had to do time in juvie, and he's come out a changed man ever since. In Ronaldinho's case, he lost it towards the end of his career, and he's not the only Brazilian who had everything and fell off. This next dude just couldn't stop. Ronaldo Nazario. R9 was a beast in his prime. To show you how good he was, he won the Ballon d'Or before he turned 20. R9 became one of the most feared ballers in the world, playing for clubs like Barcelona and Inter Milan, but it was at Madrid that Nazario started to fall off. See, he started making so much money that he put the game aside and wanted to party and live the life. But Madrid wasn't prepared to pay him for smashing bottles instead of goals, so they let him go on a free, but it only made things worse. At Milan, Nazario's lifestyle was so bad that he only spent months at the club, and pretty soon, his body couldn't take it anymore. Even when he went back home to Brazil, and on the day of his final match for the national team, Nazario went from being a fit world-class baller to looking like this. If only he stayed fit, man. He had no excuse, but for Josep illicic, falling was something personal. In 2019-20, Josep was on fire, scoring 4 goals in a Champions League knockout game and helping Atalanta push up in the Italian Serie A. It seemed for a long time that this was going to be his peak season, until illicic came across the one person he simply couldn't beat that season: himself. See, illicic was battling a lot of things. First, he had lymphadenitis, a condition where the lymph nodes in his neck got swollen. And even worse, there were rumors of Illicic's wife cheating on him, which made him enter a mental breakdown. All of this combined made Illicic reach a mutual agreement with Atalanta to terminate his contract. And for over a year, he was out of the game. Illicic decided to return to his native Maribor in Slovenia, and while he continues to play the game now, it's safe to say after that whole episode, Illicic's career would never remain the same again. On the plus side, Illicic probably saved enough money to get by during the period he was away from the game. Wish we could say the same for Hendrie. In his playing career, Hendrie rocked up for some decent clubs in the Premier League and scored bangers like this. But off the pitch, the only thing banging about Hendrie's life was his finances. Hendrie had endured a messy relationship with his wife Emma that led to a divorce, and this in turn led him being declared bankrupt. See guys, the situation was so bad that Hendrie tried to take his life because he couldn't bear the thought of losing everything at a go. Divorce seems to take a hard toll on some of the OGs in the game. Hendrie first, and even David James. Back in the day, David James was an OG in goal. Heck, the dude was so crazy, I even thought he had more haircuts than he had actual saves. James played for some of the big clubs in the Premier League: Liverpool, Manchester City, and even Portsmouth. But in 2014, England's starting goalie at the 2006 World Cup was declared bankrupt after going through a messy divorce with his ex-wife Tanya, which made him lose $3 million. In James's case, things were so bad that to survive, he had to auction some of his jerseys and match-worn stuff so he could get by. That's low, but I don't think it can get lower than this next dude, who owes an entire country: Diego Armando Maradona. Now, he needs no introduction. In his playing career, Maradona was a god. The dude's legit being worshipped as a religion in some parts of Argentina. Kinda seems like the fan love wasn't as heavy in Italy as it was back home. Because football legend or not, the guys at the tax office didn't care. They just wanted him to pay taxes. But Maradona wasn't too keen on doing that, because he rocked up a crazy tax bill worth over $53 million. Think this is crazy? Here comes the shocking part. Maradona claimed he didn't know he owed that much in taxes, and even blamed the government officials for not informing him early. So in a bid to pay it off, and in return, the government hit back with an on-site policy on Maradona. Because the next time he was seen in Italy, they confiscated 2 Rolls watches worth $15K and 3 diamond earrings worth $6K to get their money back. Maradona at that point knew if he didn't want to lose everything he had, it was best he avoided planes to Italy for a long while. And he did. In Maradona's case, he could hide back home in Argentina, but this next dude became so broke, he couldn't afford the plane ticket back home. When he signed for Manchester United, I legit believed Djemba was so good, they named him twice. At the time, Djemba was supposed to be the man to replace the legendary Roy Keane after Keane left United. But let's just say, things didn't turn out that way. Now, Djemba only spent 18 months at United, but on a $75K a week deal. It should have been enough for him to start something and save up the cash. The only problem was, he didn't see it like that. At least that's what his agent thought. Because, get this, the dude reportedly had over 30 bank accounts he tried to use to clear loans. Add this to a messy divorce in 2016 from his wife Rachel, and Djemba was declared bankrupt. For someone who was supposed to be the next Roy Keane, it's safe to say this one didn't work out, a phrase the guys at Juventus must be really familiar with, after signing this dude on a free. Paul Pogba. Honestly, this one hurts, because Pogba is an OG. He had a new haircut for every assist he pulled off. In 2016, Manchester United resigned Pogba from Juventus for a world record $89 million. But it never really worked out the way both parties hoped it would. And as a result, Pogba was off to Juve for free again in the summer of 2022. He was supposed to revive his career in Juve, but his injury list has to be the weirdest I've ever seen. My man was even bagging injuries in his ass. Combine this with a doping allegation that has him banned for between 2 to 4 years, and Pogba's ship may just have sailed already. Still hurts. I guess Pogba's the definition of what could have been, but I don't think anyone fits this description more than Adriano. Imagine being so good, your shot power on a video game is rated 99. Yeah, that was Adriano's reality, and the hype was real. See, Adriano was one of the most hyped players of his generation, because his coaches at both club and country levels thought he could go on to become the next R9, or even better. Until the tragic incident happened that didn't just ruin his career, but almost ruined his life. His dad died, and Adriano never recovered. To Adriano, his dad was everything, and losing him now in his career was a hole no one could ever fill. After this, he just never stayed fit. Combine that with touring a host of clubs around the world, and now these days, Adriano lives like this. From Ballon d'Or potential to beer bottles, a sad ending. But now guys, it's time for the top reveal on the list, and this baller needs no introduction. Eden Hazard should have been the next big thing at Real Madrid. He was the club's record signing in 2019. Hazard had everything he needed to succeed at Real Madrid, except at the biggest club in the world, he came across the toughest opponent of his career: his diet. Hazard himself admits that he came to Madrid overweight, and the injuries just seemed to multiply after that. He spent 4 years at Madrid and scored 4 league goals, averaging a goal every season, and it was so bad that Madrid's record signing never even played in El Clasico. At the end of his Madrid contract, despite bids from the Saudi Pro League and the MLS, Hazard decided to call it quits on his career and focus watching videos from our channel instead.